Hello and welcome to Long Beach Lens. I'm your host, Derek J. Simpson, Executive Director of the Long Beach Community Action Partnership. Our guest is a national basketball legend and a friend. Please join me in welcoming Schea Cotton. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me, Derek.
Great. So there are many people who don't know the Schea Cotton story, and I know you have something special coming out that's going to give a lot deeper perspective. But let's go back to the beginning. You know, when you got into basketball, when did you first realize that basketball was going to be a love and a passion for you?
I think I first realized basketball would be something that I'd fall in love with was around 11 years old and took it serious right around 12. So right around the 6th grade is when I really started to catapult.
And in the 6th grade, that's when you, I would imagine, saw a growth spurt as I was reading, because you were basically 6 feet tall, some were saying, at that point in time. So I would imagine that even if you didn't play basketball, you were standing out whether you wanted to or not. Huh?
Absolutely.
Now I know for me that was awkward because for a while my my shoe size was keeping up with my age, and my friends would always give me a hard time about that. But did you find that to be awkward, growing up?
I did. I found myself in grade school and elementary, particularly like slouching a lot, coming into classrooms, and when we had assemblies, everybody's lining up. I'm trying to make myself feel smaller because I was taller than some of the other kids, but it worked to my advantage when I got on that court.
If we stick with that point just for a moment, Schea, because Long Beach Cap is about helping youth as well as families, and especially low income. But what would you say to a young person, whether it be male or female right now, who is maybe standing out like that or feels awkward? What would you say to them as advice to kind of push through those moments and know brighter days are ahead?
Just to embrace the adversity, take it as a compliment. Being different is a good thing, and sometimes people will pick on you and pick out things that may be attributes that you have because they don't have that. Maybe they want to be taller and they're small, or maybe they want to be slender and they're bigger. So, take it as more of a compliment, and let it drive you to be more successful.
And reverse it, basically.
Most
Turn
definitely.
that energy back on them.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's great advice. I know my granddaughter, Chloe, is really tall, and I try to tell her similar things, but that's good advice coming from someone like you, because when you went through that middle school period and you got into basketball, you then became a national phenomenon. And what was that experience like, stepping from just being Schea to being this person that everybody was reading about nationally?
The closest thing I could compare it to would be like adolescence to adulthood, where my childhood was gone. I mean, by the time I was 13, I was nationally known, like you said. ESPN had did 2 stories already, was it SSA, Scholastic Sports America, and Sunkissed Kids, which was big back then. That was the only thing we had. Before now with social media. And I mean, by the time I hit high school, I was already on Sports Illustrated at 15 years old. So things changed. I was living out of a glass bowl. I couldn't do what my peers did. I had to make a lot of sacrifices.
Right. And I would imagine family support was real important right then.
Most definitely.
And I know your mom gave nails, so I know
she's the rock. There. Yeah, her and my dad, they cracked the whip. My mother was a very firm person. My father was not, he was not so well spoken.
Right.
My mother did a lot of the talking. My father led with the action, but at the same time, my mother was a very, very tough disciplinarian.
Yeah. Now, as much interest as any high school player ever, I mean, basketball is big around the world, not just here in America. That fishbowl had to be quite intimidating, but you stepped through that and came out whole.
Yeah, well, I attribute a lot of that to my family connection. My parents kept me grounded. Me and my brother both played, so we took the trash out when we came home, and we did the little things. I think integrity and humility is imperative in life, and I have to credit it to that, and obviously my faith, to keep me centered.
Right. Now, according to ESPN 2010, I was reading, the expectations were as great as any pre-high school age player than LeBron James. And we have a video clip that talks about that, and we're going to share that with people so that they can hear from some of your peers during that time exactly what they thought of Schea Cotton. So here's the clip.
By the time I was 15 years old, I was considered one of the best players in the country.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was like a rock star at 13 years old. When I first saw him, it was something I'd never seen.
The term man-child was devised in order to describe Schea Cotton.
High lob for Schea. Oh my goodness!
Growing up, Schea Cotton was the ultimate ball player at our age bracket.
When I first saw him, I was like, there's no way that this dude is the same age as everybody else.
We were all trying to be as big as Schea Cotton.
And if you were to assemble a dream team of the best 14 and under players in the country, perhaps at the top of the list would be a kid by the name of Schea Cotton.
It was unfair. You know, I felt like, oh, that ain't fair. This ain't fair.
Schea Cotton is the best high school athlete that I've ever seen.
Quarter's been all Monarchs so far. High lob.
Man, he was selling out gyms since 6th grade, 7th grade.
Schea Cotton was like LeBron James before there ever was a LeBron James.
If you don't do nothing wrong, and you don't take no money, and you don't cheat on no tests, you're at the top, and you're on your way. In one day, it's taken from you.
Just as much as they'll build you up, it's twice as easy for them to tear you down.
It was so much. It was like, damn, why do y'all pile all this on a kid? Like,
it wasn't meant to be. He just had a talent, and he can teach kids what to do and what not to do.
Shea's story is important to be told because he falls into that basketball Bible where it's not just here.
To have people still calling you by your first and last name 20 years later, that means something.
Google Schea Cotton, you'll see.
Larger than life, standing tall. Haters want to see him fall. He's a man-child, man-child. He's a man-child, oh yeah.
Man-child, man-child. When I look at that and I see all the people that were in that video, I mean, you had stars from NFL to the NBA, and all these guys were giving you your props. I mean, you were outstanding in that regard. Are you still in touch with some of those guys?
I am. A lot of the guys I still have relationships with. The thing that I miss about playing is the bond that you develop. Right. As you know, being a former player yourself, you don't have those connections anywhere else in life. So I try to like really hold on to them and really bridge gaps and then extend, you know, nationwide. It helps when you're dealing with kids. I mean, Randy Moss, I think he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Right. You know, Elton Brand's in there. We've got Problem, who's a Grammy-nominated rapper for Diamond Lane Music Group here in LA. So this is an authentic piece. It's not like stuff that you normally see where they're editing and trying to clean it up, make it look good. This film is authentic. Everybody gave their interviews on their own recognizances. So I'm just excited about, you know, the release and where it's headed.
Yeah, and as you say, it's authentic. It's who you are. It's your family. It's your peers. It's telling that story. And I would imagine maybe not at the same level that Schea Cotton is, but there are other athletes out there because of social media who are living in that fishbowl 100%. And who are going through this in a way that we can't even imagine. What would you say to them, Schea? Because when I look at Alabama, both of us, and we're going to talk about this later, attended the University of Alabama. If you quote 5 stars, you've got everybody coming at you. You know, what would you say to try to handle that so that they don't run into some of the barriers you did?
I think to stay close to the people that love them for who they are rather than what they do. You know, whether it's family members, close friends, and just keep your circle small. I think the best thing to do is not get caught up in reading your articles, you know, and getting caught up in rankings and stuff like that. Focus on being a better person each day, doing the best you can in school, and give the best effort you can as an athlete, you know, and keep your faith in God. Right.
All sound advice. Now going back to the story in terms of your progression here in Southern California, you went on to play at Mater Dei.
Correct.
Right, and your mom and your family got you out there. What was that experience like when you moved from here to there? Because I know you kind of bounced back and forth.
Yeah, it was like a fish out of water. I mean, growing up in the LA area and then going to Orange County for high school and, you know, a Catholic school that it's basically world-renowned now.
Yeah.
I mean, modern day is a household name.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was accepted the challenge, and I knew what I was up against, and I was ready. The timing was great. I knew Coach McKnight previously, my AAU coach, and him had a relationship. So I saw them play before I got into high school, and I just really liked the way they did things. I think the school is, it speaks for itself. I mean, they have a rotating schedule. It's like a mini college.
And you only played 11 games, I was reading, and still made the All-American team.
Correct.
So that was based on just your body of work,
Correct.
not necessarily what you did in that season.
Correct. I tell people all the time, high school was like a precursor. They missed all the good stuff. It was in AAU. So.
Right. And AAU coaches, from what I understand, have as much or more power than high school coaches.
Most definitely. I would say probably more because of the relationships with the kids that you attend to. Your players are all 5-star usually players.
Right.
So you have access to all these various universities across the country.
Right. And then from a parent perspective, if your child is being courted by some of those AAU teams, what would your advice be to them in terms of trying to fit in the right situation with the right coach so that they're not just used for that talent, but appreciated for who they are?
You got to find, I think, somebody that has a good balance of, building your kid up as a young man or woman, depending, as women play basketball today
absolutely.
too. And just to keep a balance, I think it's important to have a faith-based segment to it because it helps keep you accountable and focusing on humility. And somebody that is going to develop you and challenge you at the same time. I think when we get into a comfort zone, we become complacent. You can't grow in comfort, so you have to be stretched.
Right, and you've mentioned humility a couple of times, and I think you're talking about rappers. I believe there was a song I heard called "Be Humble" or something like that.
That's
but in the scheme of things, spiritually speaking, being humble is important. But being confident in yourself that you know you can go out there and do your thing
100%.
and demand that respect. We're going to take a quick break, Schea, and come back. And when we come back, we will continue our conversation with man-child Schea Cotton. Stay tuned for more of Long Beach Lens.
Artful Thinking is a Long Beach-based nonprofit founded in 2010 to create artful events that educate the public about HIV and breast cancer while raising funds to support those services. Since then, we have brought Long Beach 2 successful comedy nights with Paula Poundstone and the monthly film series Out at the Movies, which featured appearances by Lily Tomlin as well as others. Beneficiaries include the Woman to Woman campaign in Long Beach, the Christina Applegate Foundation, St. Mary's Hospital's CARE program, the AIDS Assistance Foundation, the AIDS Food Store. Contact us at info@artfulthinking.org. Thank you.
Finals are here again, and if there's one thing we're all grateful for, it's nap time.
Do you have a deaf friend, relative, or someone you just want to know more about that's deaf? Here's some easy basic phrases. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? What's your name? What's your name? It's very nice to meet you. It's very nice to meet you. Do you know where's the bathroom? Do you know where's the bathroom? Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
Welcome back to Long Beach Lens. I'm Derek J. Simpson. We're continuing our conversation with basketball legend Schea Cotton. And Schea, before we go further, I just wanted to be sure that people know that you have a website and you have a YouTube channel. Just share a little bit about that so that as people are listening, they know where to go to find that information.
Anybody looking to do some research and peruse some of our stuff, we're at our website, www.ScheaCottonManchild.com. That's S-C-H-E-A, Cotton with 2 T's, manchild.com. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Manchild Doc.
All right. And how's with the trailer and all that's out and the initiative that you've put behind the project thus far? What's been the response?
It's been great, considering no real promotion to drive the social media.
Right.
We're over 43,000 views. I think it's close to 46 on the YouTube Manchild Doc for our trailer. We got to get our subscription up, obviously, but the attraction is there. We showed an LA Film Festival. We did three festivals, and LA Film Festival ranked the top 5 out of 4,200 films. So we're excited about where it's going to live.
Okay, so going back into the story, right? We talked about how you became a Parade All-American. I read something about how you injured your shoulder playing against Lamar Odom in one game. I mean, when you just look at the video and you listen to the names, I mean, all these guys who are legends in the NBA, you were basically schooling them before they got there.
Right.
And that's just amazing to me,
Right.
But then you get ready for college. And tell us how that transition went and what were your challenges there?
Having to sit out my senior year, having a reconstruction to my left shoulder, my labrum, it was tough. It really challenged me. I had never really had a serious injury. I got a chance to see who my real family was, and who my real friends were. I would often ask my mother, do people like me for who I am or for what I do? Well, I have that answer today. So to answer your question, it was tumultuous. I mean, to be the top guy, to going like almost unnoticed when you get injured, just like they just fell off and gravitated to other players in the city that, obviously playing well, and that's part of it. When one guy gets hurt, another one gets an opportunity.
Right.
So for me, my whole thing was to get healthy, and get that scholarship of choice to show people that I could really play this game and put myself in a situation to get drafted as a lottery pick. I think I made a lot of the right decisions. Things happened out of my control when it came to being a student athlete in college and getting that scholarship. I initially committed to Long Beach State with my brother. He turned hardship. We had some financial difficulties. I asked to be let out of my letter. It was granted that. And I chose to go to UCLA after that with Baron Davis and Earl Watson, Billy Knight, Travis Reed, a lot of California guys. And that's when all hell broke loose. It's long story short. So, and after that, a lot of things changed. Some things, I can't really talk about. I want people to really watch the documentary when it comes out.
Understood.
But at the end of the day,
it's a deep story that people need to see.
For sure. People need to understand that if it happens to me, it could happen to anybody, because I was the top dog at that time.
Exactly. And as you matriculated through college, there was a stop in Alabama.
Most definitely.
And we both share that experience.
Most definitely.
How was that, playing in the state of Alabama for that university?
Coming from LA, reading and doing a lot of the history as a kid, hearing about the South and a lot of issues that were going on then, and having to experience myself personally going to University of Alabama, I had a great time. They really embraced me, opened me welcome arms. They love their sports. Big time University for champions. Roll Tide.
Absolutely.
I was top scorer on my team, all SEC. When I played there, and I did the best that I could. Things didn't go as planned with as far as our agreement between myself and the coach. But I tell people all the time, getting a college scholarship is a crapshoot. It's not guaranteed that when you get there, you're going to play well enough to get drafted, or when you get there, it's going to be a great experience. So I made the best of the situation, but there's a lot of good people that I'm in contact with still.
Good. And I know myself, you, and even my son and daughter went there, so we all share our separate experiences. But as you say, it's a great university, and you have to make the most of the program based on who you are as a person. So from college then, you made a transition to the pros, but it wasn't to the NBA.
Right.
And you were playing internationally for a while. And I think about right now, there's a lot going on in the media about a certain family that's playing internationally. And that's a big move to go from your culture, the language you speak, et cetera, to an entirely different country, entirely different culture, and an entirely different way of playing ball to some extent.
100%.
Yeah. So anything you can share about that as well, that transition?
It's not similar to my situation, but you know, I can empathize with what the kids are going through because they're young over there playing a man's game in a country where the ages fluctuate. You know, it could be 10, 15-year difference. But I think their stuff is structured a little differently where they play teams in their age group sometime and then they play some of the other guys. So there's a little mix there. And I believe the dad is coaching also. Where for me, I went into a situation, I was one of the first African-American players to play. I was in Yugoslavia, it's now Serbia, Belgrade, Yugoslavia. I played for Vlade Divac, who played with Magic Johnson with the Lakers. I played for his team. We had the same agent at the time, Mark Fleischer. And for me, it was really tough because I wanted to be in the NBA. I was playing in the EuroLeague, which is the second best league in the world. But the coach was a local guy from the country and wasn't crazy about Americans. And I had the talent to start, but he played me off the bench. And I played sparingly, and I played well when I got opportunities. And I wouldn't play for 3 games. So I said to myself, this will never happen in the NBA, you know, because of the politics will put you on the floor. So that was a hard thing for me to swallow. But I grew up a lot, you know, because I spent a lot of time by myself. I was 19, 20 years old in Eastern Europe. You know, I got a 3-bedroom flat, a driver with a car, all to myself, and don't even know the language, you know. So I learned a lot, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world today.
Yeah. I mean, all of those experiences, though, there was a negative side to this story. There's a positive side I keep hearing, in sense of who's made Schea Cotton the man he is today. And I know you would have your rathers in terms of how it all ended, but it sounds like the course that you are on now is going to touch, you know, thousands, if not millions of people ultimately, because you're approaching it not just from a basketball perspective, but also from the development of a man's perspective. Would you agree with that in any way?
Most definitely. I think that's more important because the ball stops bouncing someday, but it's the character that's built along the way that's going to carry you to that second phase in your life, which I feel like I'm going into now.
So with the movie out, or coming out, to the extent that you can share, what people should just look to the website and look to YouTube to find out when things are happening. I know you have some viewings, et cetera, coming up. I happened to be sitting in my car one day a couple of months ago, and I was driving someplace, and they were interviewing you on ESPN, local radio, and I thought you handled that like superbly, man. I mean, the questions they were throwing at you, and the way they on ESPN, I think it was Marcellus Wiley, and those guys were just giving you big props. But do you still find that the local athletes still respect you and support you in what you're trying to accomplish as well?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think there's a lot of support because the story's real. And these guys remember what I did, my peers, and they have kids now too. So it's fun to see, you know, the generations of the basketball families, you know, being passed on. And what I'm doing today isn't about basketball. I'm doing this for kids because I don't want nobody else to go through what I'm living. And there's some kind of refreshment for me within that. When you help somebody else, it's even better than receiving.
So tell us more then, Schea, in a perfect world, as you see the film going forward and you see yourself going forward. I know you're coaching and you're doing your clinics and you're doing different things. Where would you like to see things ultimately, and how can people watching right now be a part of the Schea Cotton movement and what you're doing?
Well, people can reach out to us on social media. You know, I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter @Schea Cotton. And like I said, you know, visit our website, SheaCottonManchild.com. Go to the YouTube channel, Manchild Doc, subscribe. You know, and as far as what we got going on, we're excited. I think my end goal would have my own facility that would encompass, you know, the health and wellness, the basketball part, the education, you know, and the mentorship, which is, I think, most important these days for the kids.
And you're working with people in the community to
Most
make all this happen too. So it's not just about you. You're bringing in
100%.
people that you feel that can make a contribution in a very positive way as well.
100%. It's each one teach one, and we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah. So for those, and are you continuing to look for people like locally, like let's say myself or anyone like me who would like to get involved and be supportive?
Yes, because we're going to have a big camp we're going to do this summer for the kids.
Okay.
So we want to have counselors and people that can get involved, and we're looking to make a big push with our fan foundation, Man Child Elite Corps pretty soon. So
okay,
we're open to all new people.
Okay, and this is for young ladies and young men
Correct.
as well, right?
Correct.
Right. And so do you see, speaking of young ladies and being in competitive athletes, I know a lot's been on TV about, the doctor at Michigan State with the Olympics and all. If I'm a parent right now and I have a child that is talented in athletics, what would your advice be to them about navigating through all of this? Because people are going to come at them.
Yeah. I'd say stay close to home and the people that you trust, that love you, and don't worry about the whispers outside. There's always going to be people that are going to say stuff that you can't do, naysayers. Focus on the people that love you, that really want the best for you, because it gets hard. There'll be people that'll come along the way, wolves in sheep's clothing, I call them, act like they're in your corner, and then the minute you get in a bad situation, they're gone.
Yeah.
So stay focused on the people that are really your friends. That circle's small. It's not a big one. I think that's what people really need to look at.
Yeah. Closing thoughts. When you think about everything that's been going on in the movie coming out, what are your closing thoughts you want to leave everyone with?
I just want everybody to experience, the documentary Man Child, take something from it to be better. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of resilience, fortitude, faith. It's riveting. There's a lot of elements in there. It's going to flow like a feature film. It's not really like a documentary feel, which we're really excited about. But I encourage everybody to be all they can be in life. Believe in yourself when no one else does, and don't let nobody tell you what you can't do.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I think that's an excellent way to close. I'm wishing you all the best. We here at Long Beach Community Action Partnership are very supportive of you and your mom, who's a member of our team.
That's right.
And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So,
appreciate
it. No doubt. I'd like to thank Schea Cotton for joining us on today's show. Be sure to follow PatNet TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest updates. We also welcome your comments and thoughts regarding this show as we strive to make Long Beach Lens a favorite source of local news, information, and entertainment. This show has been brought to you with the support of the Long Beach Community Action Partnership, helping people, changing lives. Thank you for watching Long Beach Lens.